Hello and welcome to the Ready Persona 1 vlog 15B.
Oh boy.
So, yeah.
What do y'all want to
How is
talk about?
Stories World?
I mean, scary. I almost died from a weed whacker man.
Almost died. I died from a weed whacker man, and you luckily didn't. Um, I remember when I went through it before, how stressful Tori's World can be and having to think on your feet. So kudos to you. It's hard.
Yeah, for some reason I thought I was stuck in between the bushes, like I was actually like in the bushes. So that's why I was like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, every time we go into Tori's world, I try to represent a different type of horror flick
Yes.
or I thought I kind of represented the vast majority of them. Um, I sort of did a bit of your typical um Freddy Krueger slash Friday the 13th. I did a lot of Scream represented material, and then Scooby Doo, which is a little bit lighter and less mature themed. And with this one, even though Tori herself already represents the creepy doll trope already,
Hmm.
I kind of wanted to spread that between not only Megan, because Megan is very timely right now, she's very popular at this moment, but
Yes.
also I think the original Terminator was essentially a horror movie, kind of like, yeah, it's a little bit more suspense, but it's got the
Hmm.
same idea of how you've got this guy stalking you, this nigh impossible to kill creature stalking you, and I wanted to have it be more tech, considering Gabriel is supposed to be tech and magic, but he's supposed to be um his trope is supposed to disbelieve magic.
Yeah,
So I thought, why don't I just make everything
that
non-supernatural and just, you have this doll that came from the future where Flynet sent her for whatever reason to like massacre the human race. I don't know. So
Yeah. Just totally get to see Gabe in his element, do all that. Because, I mean, Tori's not like tech savvy or not as tech savvy. So that's totally his realm.
I will give kudos to Emily because Alex actually did the same thing. I'll step back a little bit and allowed Gabe to essentially have the spotlight mainly on himself,
Yeah.
which is perfect. Because there was a moment you're like, Gabe, you can go first, which I love because these crossovers are supposed to uh it's supposed to support their stories and not necessarily
Hmm.
your own. So you definitely had the right mindset with that.
appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And it helps too to have these like smaller, like one-on-one um sessions where there can be more dialogue between the characters too. So I think that's nice.
What did Tori think of game? That's what I was very thinking.
Um, you know, she was confused at first, but it kind of reminded her back to when she first met everyone in the Athenaeum campaign. And like uh at some point she's like, okay, this he's clearly not from here, but he's probably from another storybook. So in a weird way, there's some familiarity there. And the fact that he's a father figure, she kind of adopted Black Powder and Sam as her father figures throughout the campaign. So having another father it was actually a little bit of comfort for her.
Yeah, what I love is that both Black Powder and Sam became the father figures for the party because at least
Hmm.
at the time, neither of them were actually fathers, but Gabe is. So I thought that was
Yeah,
really a really cool difference to this. So mhm.
yeah. Is Gabe kind of like the father figure for his group in Ready Persona 1? Because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
At
That's
minimum,
awesome.
he's the sugar daddy
The sugar
because
daddy.
I
every time they need to buy something, they're like, Gabe will pay for it every single
yeah.
time.
I think the person that he's the most like I think the person that specifically they stated sees him as the most father-like figure is Ave, because he had family issues.
Mm,
Cade a little bit. Cade and Gabe has more of like the father looking down, like, "Are you getting a job yet, son?" And since
yeah,
Cade's also very detached with people, I'm pretty sure it's the most father-like Cade will probably get. And then with Forrest, it's probably less like a father figure because their father figure is their grandfather, and that has a whole other issues. But I
right.
assume Gabe at this point is more like a uncle kind of figure than like a pure father or big brother.
Definitely. How about for Gabe reacting to Tori? Because I know he has teenage kids himself
I
around her age.
I assume it's one the effect of the since he's actually getting affected by like the father stuff of the world, but also since he's a dad, he sees someone around his kid's age and he kind of wants to protect. Or also, we saw with the little girl, he was immediately like going down and treat him like a father would with like a little girl, be like, "Hey, you want to play? Do you want to do this, do that?" So I think Gabe is a little bit more receptible to people, like
Yeah,
especially around that age. I think the only time when that was a pushback was Cade, and that's because Cade's a serial killer forced upon him.
right. Um, yeah, that's cool. And it was cool to hear about your kids too. And there's a lot going on there. That's I yeah, like Hart was saying, is a big morality issue. Like I don't even know how Tori, like I don't know if Tori's ever come across something like that before, other than
Well,
how her
and
sister.
and to be fair, like
Yeah,
Tori's own relationship with Helix right now is controversial too.
yeah,
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
um, I think that you can at least relate to that at minimum.
yeah, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think when it came to Gabe giving advice, it's a little bit judging, but more in the sense of not judging the relationship itself, but judging the fact that he knows having a regular relationship is already really hard when things
Hmm.
come down to it. So the judging more comes down to the sense of like worrying, like basically like a dad would be like, it's not that I like super dislike what you're doing. It's more like, well, do you realize the work this is going to be?
Yeah.
Especially someone who his main purpose why his relationship fell apart is the lack of like actual like interacting and spending time with his
Yeah,
ex-wife. So when he sees
Right.
like, "Oh, I have two boyfriends," it's like, well,
Right. Exactly. No, that's a good point.
yeah,
You already had a difficult time enough like managing time spent with your wife with only one significant other, and probably it just boggles your mind that somebody could juggle two people at once
yeah,
and still maintain a relationship that is meaningful without making one person feel neglected over the other, because your wife certainly did feel neglected. So I love
yeah.
that
hmm,
parallel a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
Too bad you're not gonna get to meet Raph and Angie. It would be so hilarious to meet them.
That would be cool. Like,
There's
yeah,
always Endgame. There's
Oh, that's
always
true.
Endgame.
there is an
How do
game.
I describe Raph and Angie? Because Gabe would be a lot more nicer to them. Like Angie is pretty. I'm pretty sure you get along with Angie. Angie just likes the like. She likes to make like fashion and stuff. She's basically like Gabe, but a lot more popular and not
So
as
That
she's like
sounds like
mean.
Carmen.
Carmen.
So she's
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
Carmen.
yeah,
Uh, Gabe's son is where it gets really interesting because Gabe's son's very. How do I say? He's very emotional, but he's also like kind of weird, like his dad. So
Yeah, he's got his quirks, and he's a little socially awkward when it comes to romantic things with people, and that's probably why he's had a hard time in the dating scene, because he is a little bit awkward, at least romantically. So
yeah. And he's not like his dad, where his dad just like stumbles forward all the time. So there's that. So that'll be fun. Tori also got a new doll, so
yes. I
that's
like to
fun.
make dolls of everyone, and so there will be dolls of the other PCs in Ready Persona 1 as well, which we'll get to see in the full
mhm,
one that we have together.
mhm. Gabe has
So,
a new upgrade.
Yep.
Yes.
And I know how to send it to Odin Park.
Oh, nice.
Remember how like basically like the scanner that was the thing with Forest where it was the character creator, it scans something and it makes a replica of it.
Yeah, that sounds like a great
That's
idea.
basically how games gonna do it. So
That's
there's
easy
gonna
to
be two
do.
versions of it.
It's very easy to do.
Gabe will have one, which now I'm actually going to put points into Gungear on Gabriel.
Nice.
Well, there'll be that. So that's
yeah.
my current plan, unless you mess it up. Which, hey, you know,
We'll
things
see.
can go.
But it's cool that it exists in both.
Yeah.
You know, that's also another upgrade in and of itself.
Which actually really does help, because if Cade gets taken over, Gabriel can actually give him to Cade.
Yep. You mean you don't
So-
want to just give it to Cade on its own? An
No.
item that can turn into any weapon at will? No? You don't
Oh,
want to give that to the
man.
serial
He
killer?
has his chef knife. He has his chef
Okay.
knife and his giant mechanical
That's
minotaur.
true. He does.
Uh like I was actually very curious about how things were going to go with Theo, because I know at the beginning that you guys broke up, and I know
Yeah.
nothing like, and I know you got together a new relationship, but I didn't know how that worked out in the old campaign. So I was
Yeah,
curious about
Pio
how that was
wasn't
going to play.
really, we didn't really go into much of uh Tori's and Pio's breakup in the actual campaign. All that they really knew is that they had a breakup and he was kind of a jerk to her, especially in like making fun of her and her dolls. So we had an opportunity where Black Powder was able to get a little bit of revenge on behalf of Tori. So
I think if we stayed in
yeah.
longer and it got like nastier, Gabe would be like, "Look, I spent my life with someone until like we were 11 to like we were 28, and now
Uh-huh.
I have her and her current husband in my house. If you guys can't like get together or like just spend like a couple of minutes in the same house, but you guys are relatively tame."
Yeah.
Gabe was just thinking like, you're saying exact things you said in the relationship to piss them off. Don't do that, kid. Don't. Gabe wanted to tell Fia, but look, just be quiet. Trust me, it doesn't work out.
Yes.
But
So it's good to have that father there.
what does Tori think about the other people? Because I think Gabe has mentioned. I think Gabe has mentioned everyone except Ave. So I think he's mentioned Cade and he's mentioned Forrest. He's mentioned Forrest in the sense of Forrest did something to break reality to get here, and then Cade Cade is the serial killer, and he didn't bring up Ave because Ave is pretty normal.
um, I mean, when it came to the serial killer, I mean, that definitely makes her nervous. Maybe not necessarily for herself because she's not an old person, but for people that she knows that are older. um, and she wouldn't want him to get anywhere near those people. Like Black Powder, for example, is much, much older. Uh, so I feel like that would be the sort of person uh, Cade would go for.
To
Who do
be
you
fair, he
think?
can't do it now. Oh, you go.
Who do you think would win? If
Cool.
Cade was not impeded, uh, versus Cade versus Black Powder.
Does he have Bobot with him? If it's Bobot
Well,
with him,
we'll say if he doesn't have Bobot with him.
I think it's really up in the air, because from what I remember, Black Power is more talky
That's
than
true.
physical.
He's more talky.
Yeah.
And what little I know of Cade, Cade when he kills people, he does not let them talk. He just literally strangles them and
He's
then
very
does a speech.
he's very stealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Black Power is also really big, so there's a chance that he might not be able to
Yeah.
do it.
Black Powder also has some impairments as well to his,
Yes.
so it would make it harder for him to see or perceive Cade coming. So that's
Yeah.
my concern, my only concern.
Yeah,
but
that would be
luckily,
my concern. If
but
he
luckily,
were to see him coming, I think Black Powder has a good chance. He is good with a sword, but uh, Cade has a lot of advantages, um, and Black Powder has a lot of disadvantages in that
Yeah.
situation.
I think the biggest thing Cade has going for him besides the stealth is that Cade's very like stubborn when it comes to the things he wants to do. and
Yeah.
like you would literally have to knock him out to stop him. So like,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it.
The other advantage is that Cade is very tech savvy. Like he has a
Yeah.
lot of special devices and equipment that helps him. Whereas Black Powder, like tech is definitely one of his weaknesses too. So
Sure.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Cade literally puts a tracker on it, and most people that he meets. But now, but
Oh my
now we can't.
goodness.
But now we can't actually hurt anyone older than him because basically he so everyone in our game got cursed. So like in the video
Yeah.
game, and I think Gabe mentioned this. Yeah, or we got cursed in there. So like for his daughter, if his daughter touches anything purple, then she gets a rash.
Okay.
I think that's just the
which
annoyer
is
because with our brother, because the brother wears a lot of purple. So that is just uh
similar to Sue actually, because Sue is
Mm-hmm.
allergic to purple food.
Mm-hmm.
She's allergic to purple food, so there's a nod there.
let's see, we have Gabriel's son Raphael. So his character is Loki in the game. So we have
Yeah.
Odin, Thor, and Loki. So Loki's weakness is that he can't lie, so that transfers to Raph. So Raph can't lie too well. Um, Aves is he is like mortally afraid of like traffic. Like no
Public transportation.
public transportation.
He's afraid of public transportation. Yeah.
Um, Gabriel's or Odin's was I have to sleep. So
He'll have like a narcoleptic episode and just randomly fall asleep,
yeah,
like
if
in
I
the most
don't
inopportune times.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I don't actually sleep normally. And then the last one was Cade, which was the most technically the most debilitating one out of all characters, although I think it's the best one. So basically he feels the pain for anyone older than him that he if he does anything. And the older they are, the worse he feels it back.
Ooh.
Which is why, like, for example, if if he gives Gabe emotional pain or even physical pain, he feels double the amount. And
Oh
Black Powder is
wow.
Because
like
he's double the age.
yeah, but Black
Yeah.
Powder is even I think Black Powder is like 50.
Yeah, he's in his 50s,
Yeah.
I believe.
So like he's almost
Yeah.
3 times as old as Gabe, or at least three
Ouch.
times as old as
So yeah.
so don't worry, Black Powder's safe. If he tries doing anything, he would just it's kind of like how in Black Powder's world there's curses.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was gonna say, is it reminded me of all the curses we dealt with when we went
Hmm.
to Black Powder's world and
Yep.
we body swapped and all of that good stuff.
So, Hark, I got a question. So like I know you only did Ethan's last. So did anyone go to the Athenaeum and then pop back out like we
Ooh.
did?
I'm not gonna spoil that. I'm not gonna
Okay.
reveal that.
Well, you did get to see the library though.
You did get to see the library.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because
I mean, because that's the only assumption I could make is like you must be from another story, but like why else would you be here?
Right.
which I mean, I think the reason why Gabe
Hmm.
is a little bit more open-minded is because he spent most of his campaign trying to tell the video game characters that they were video game characters.
Yeah.
So he kind of and he gets annoyed at them for not listening.
Right.
So at least in
So
this,
yeah. So right out of the box, there's a lot of parallels between your two campaigns because you've got these characters in a virtual world that aren't aware or self-aware that they're in a virtual world, and then you have characters in Athenaeum who originally weren't self-aware that they were characters from a book, and then how do you react to that? Having this existential crisis.
uh, what
Yeah,
I'm
because we
curious.
already had that.
Yeah, what I'm curious about are if we're a book in the Athenaeum or we're in a book in the Athenaeum. The you know what I mean, like the
Yep.
actual,
Yep. Yep.
because
Yep.
that's
Right.
different kind of rules.
Yep.
Yeah. At least from the way Tori described it to Gabe, is the Athenaeum that we went to is part of a story that Dan the Man wrote in the actual Athenaeum.
Right. They're a book within a book within a book.
Yeah.
That's not
Yep.
confusing at all.
Not confusing
Not
at all.
confusing at all. So we had our own existential crisis when we found that out.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, I think the two reasons is one because of what we were facing, and it's like, oh, it's kind of what we're doing, except where ours is with video games and not books. And
Right.
two, the D&D world is already like the D&D world's always already about like different realms and all that stuff. So I think it's a lot easier for D&D people, depending, or at least for Gabe, who like studies that and is from an
Hmm.
whose parentage actually stems from a different plane.
Right.
It's a lot easier to be like, oh, this is a different plane.
Yep. Yep.
He just
Yeah.
gets weirded out because the reality was literally shift. Like his kids literally look like they were regular humans.
Yeah. And it's weird hearing like you call yourself a ASMR or angel and you didn't have like your wings or your halo. And so it's yeah, Tori was trying to picture all of that too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but you got to see what he actually looks like.
Yeah, yeah. Because that was weird too for her. Like, why does the doll not match the face?
Yeah.
Also, you got to saw Gabe's actual fashion sense. It's
Yes.
terrible.
Terrible
Uh,
fashion sense. It's great.
Star's gonna hate it. I just know it.
You can get a makeover from Star. Let's
Oh
see.
no.